Hey guys, how are you doing? It's me Lilly, and today I want to give you another update on the situation here in Europe and especially in Austria. So the other day I was reading a newspaper article about this woman here. She is our defense minister of Austria, and she was warning the general public that we will get a blackout in near future. They're not saying in 2 years, in 5 years, in 3 years, who knows exactly, but they are saying in near future. So that can be tomorrow or in a year or so. And I actually am really happy that she is warning the citizens of Austria so we get a chance to prepare, because if an official from the government is saying that, people usually take it more serious. So I think that's a really good thing, and that will get people to prepare for a blackout. Then also it's saying that sabotage is not so uncommon anymore. Actually, I have been to 2 different shops here in Austria, Metro and Billa, and 2 times I have now experienced that the cash was not working anymore because there was cyber attack on the software of those companies. So I only could pay with cash at Billa and at Metro. It was working, the system, but it was really slow, so it took like 20 minutes to make one payment. And that's something that I've never noticed in Austria. We never had sabotage acts, or at least I didn't notice. But now it's like a common thing that you have to pay cash. So that's a new threat that we are now facing. And every week now we get another article in the newspapers about how you can prepare for a blackout. So this article is telling you how much it costs to survive for 7 days without electricity. And it has become a very common thing now to read such articles in the newspaper, which was really rare like 10 years ago. 10 years ago I rarely have read something about a blackout, but now every day or at least every week we can read about blackouts in the newspaper. So it has become a thing in Austria to talk about blackouts. It's not an abstract threat anymore. Now the articles also have become more concrete. So for example, here there's an article in the newspaper which says which is telling people on how you can take away the anxiety of children and how you can prepare your children for a blackout so they don't have to be afraid. And yeah, that's quite concrete content now that they are bringing out to prepare people for a blackout. Now, another issue that we have is that some medication, including a lot of antibiotics, are getting scarce. Some antibiotics are missing from the group of the penicillin, but also other medication is missing. Hold on a second. 540 medications are missing from the pharmacies. We still have a lot of other medicines, genericas and so on. So it's not that you don't get medication anymore, but 540 brands are now missing, and that's of course not good. So let's hope that the situation will get better. So that's pretty much the news from Austria. But also now I want to make a prediction for 2023. So as you can see, I'm not wearing a lot of clothes, right? So today it's really warm. Actually, it has been warm for the entirety of December. Yeah, until now. And we had 20 degrees in some regions. And this winter has been really weird. In September it was too warm, October too warm, November it was too cold, minus 24 degrees in some regions. December far too warm with 20 degrees plus, and it's still very warm, and they say for the next week it's also going to stay warm. And this is not usual for Austria. So I've been living in Austria my entire life, and I honestly cannot remember that the winter had ups and downs like this, sometimes minus 20, then plus 20. And I cannot remember that we had such a temperature fluctuation. So what I did a couple of days ago is I phoned a farmer from my old village where I grew up, and I asked him the same question. Was this normal when you were a kid? So he's almost 70, and he told me that never happened. So when he was young, they had like minus 20 degrees, and sometimes around Christmas it was thawing, which means around 0 degrees Celsius, but it never had 20 degrees plus in winter. This is not normal. So he's saying this is something that never happened 70 years ago or 65 years ago. Also, what I have noticed is that some trees, they are now getting new blossom or new leaves in late fall, end of October, because it's too warm, and the trees, they don't know what's going on. They think it's springtime, and then they are getting leaves and blossom. And this is what I've also never seen in my life in Austria. So the first time that I have seen something like this was a couple of years ago. And also now, I believe it was 2 years ago, the summer was so hot and dry that the leaves of the shrubs and trees were starting to hang down. And that's also something I've never seen before. I've never observed something like this in my entire life. So now the scientific explanation for this is that the jet stream is broken. So instead of having a steady temperature, it's now going like this, up and down, because the jet stream is fractured. And I believe that this will lead to food shortages, because it can only lead to more crop failure. If you plant your seeds in spring and there's a drought, or it's too cold, or if it's frost and it freezes off the blossom of the wine plants, for example, then you don't have wine grapes this year, or you don't have peaches this year, or whatever. So we had a lot of losses in crops when it comes to peaches and wine grapes. So this is all a problem, and in addition to that, it's coming to a fertilizer shortage. So fertilizer has gotten really expensive, and some farmers, they might not use it anymore because it's too expensive. And this all together, the weather extremes, but also the fertilizer shortage, and also if you have increased prices when it comes to diesel, gas, then the tractor will cost more money to drive around on the field, and the farmer will pass on the higher costs onto the supermarkets for the food. But also, if you have a greenhouse and the natural gas costs more, then you might not be able to heat the greenhouse because the natural gas is too expensive. So a lot of problems are coming together now, whether it's shortages of energy, or whether it's weather extremes that are destroying your crops. So many factors are now coming together. I believe the word polycrisis that Canadian Prepper is using is the right term for this. So it's a polycrisis, and I believe that all of this together, the polycrisis, will lead to food shortages and also increase in the price of food. And also the price increase is here anyway, so inflation is here, everything costs more, but I think in future especially the food will get more expensive. So this is what's happening in Austria, but also there are some good things that are happening. The inflation has gotten a little bit lower, around 8% now, I believe. So finally, the fiscal, political measures of the central banks are working a little bit, but 8% is still really high. So I wish it would go down further, but it is what it is. Also, the gas and diesel price has come down a little bit in the price. That's a good thing. It's probably also good that it's really warm now, because then we are using less natural gas. But of course, for Mother Nature, for the trees and shrubs and for the crops, these extreme weather events are not good at all. So yeah, we will see how the next year goes. People are also buying a lot of firewood. So behind me there's a stack of firewood, and it's costing 179 euros for 0.9 cubic meters. So that's pretty expensive. You will get more cheap firewood if you buy it in the countryside, but here at the hardware stores it's more expensive than at the countryside. Okay guys, so this is it for today. I really want to thank you for watching, and if you want to get more updates about prepping news here in Austria, then make sure that you are subscribing to my channel. Stay tuned till next time.